Mom Hacks, episode number 94. My name is Krista, and I'm your host. It's November 20th, 2024, and with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and all of the other holiday sales that are popping up over the next few days and weeks, today's episode is all about equipping you and your loved ones, in particular the senior citizens in your life, to avoid scams. There are so many types of scams and different methods the scammers use to not just trick you, but outright intimidate you and elicit fear if you don't follow their commands. Now, I'm addressing this topic because not only have I seen more national news reports covering this issue, but also because it recently hit close to home when someone I care for deeply lost tens of thousands of dollars to con artists posing as both the FTC and the Social Security Administration. The FBI reports that Americans over 60 years old lost over $3.4 billion to cyber scams in 2023, which is an 11% increase from 2022. Today's episode will equip you with the knowledge and tools to help protect yourself and the elders in your life, whether that's your parents, grandparents, or even older neighbors and friends. We'll explore the types of cyber scams, the red flags to watch for, and how to have those important conversations with your loved ones to keep them safe. We'll also go over what steps to take if you or someone you know falls victim to these criminals. But before we get into that, I just want to say thanks for tuning in, Mama. I started this podcast because babies don't come with instructions. As of this recording, I am chasing around a 6-year-old that no amount of Googling, mom groups, or books were able to prepare me for. There's a lot of stuff people don't talk about when it comes to pre-pregnancy, during pregnancy, postpartum, parenthood, and as someone who was previously terrified of all of the above, I'm here to help you pull back the curtain on all of it. And every now and then, it may get a little messy. We may share a little TMI, but that's why you're here, right? My goal is you'll leave every episode feeling refreshed, inspired, and hopeful knowing you're not on this mom journey alone. Now, there's a lot of subject matter to cover when it comes to mom life, and we are covering it all. If you're not following this podcast yet, make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. Now, let's talk cyber scams. One of the most common scams targeting seniors is phishing. That's not fishing like you've got your rod and your reel and your worms and you're heading out to the local fishing hole. This is phishing with a PH, PHISHING. Phishing emails or text messages that appear to be from trusted sources like banks, credit card companies, or even government programs like Medicare. These messages usually ask the recipient to click a link or provide personal information to resolve an urgent issue or secure their account. These scams are effective because they use the names of institutions seniors are familiar with, creating a false sense of trust. Additionally, the messages often use urgent language to create a sense of panic, making people feel pressured to act quickly without questioning the legitimacy of the message. Seniors, especially, may not be as familiar with spotting the signs of a fake email or text, which makes them particularly vulnerable to these schemes. Another type of scam involves fake online shopping sites. During the holiday season, scammers create fake online shopping sites that mimic legitimate retailers, complete with similar logos and website layouts. These sites offer deals that seem too good to be true, enticing people to make purchases only to steal their payment information or, at best, send counterfeit goods. Seniors who may not shop online regularly may be less aware of how to differentiate between real and fake websites. The holiday season also means many people are on the lookout for discounts, and seniors can be particularly drawn to these big deals to save money on gifts for family. Scammers take advantage of this by offering deep discounts and creating a false sense of urgency around these sales. The next type of con to be aware of is tech support scams. In these scams, the individual may receive a phone call, email, or pop-up message claiming that their device has a virus or security issue. The scammer poses as a representative from a well-known tech company like Microsoft and offers to fix the problem, often asking for remote access to the computer or requesting payment for unnecessary services. Many seniors may not be as tech savvy and can be easily intimidated when they think their computer or personal data is at risk. The idea that someone is calling to help them with a security issue from a recognizable company feels reassuring, which makes seniors more likely to trust the scammer and comply with the instructions. Another scam is the prize or sweepstakes scam. In these types of cons, the victim is contacted often by phone, email, or even regular mail and told they've won a prize or a large sum of money. However, to claim the prize, they're asked to pay a processing fee or provide bank details. Once the scammers get the payment or information, they disappear. That thrill of winning a prize, especially around the holidays, can make anyone's guard drop. For seniors who may have fewer opportunities for excitement or extra income, the idea of winning a sweepstakes can be especially tempting. Scammers exploit this excitement and rely on the fact that many seniors may not know that legitimate prizes never require an upfront payment to be claimed. Another con to know about is charity scams. During the holiday season, when many people feel the urge to give back, scammers create fake charities or impersonate real ones. They reach out via phone calls, emails, or social media messages, asking for donations to supposedly help those in need. But the donations end up in the scammers' pockets. It's natural to have a strong desire to help others, especially around the holidays, and many may feel inclined to donate to causes that seem meaningful. Scammers take advantage of this generosity and target people with heartwarming, urgent appeals for donations. Many are unlikely to double check the legitimacy of these requests, especially when they're presented in an emotional or urgent manner. So, we've covered a handful of scams to be aware of. This is really just scratching the surface, but these are some of the most popular ones. So, now let's talk about how to recognize some of the red flags with these cyber scams. One red flag is an unusual sense of urgency. Scammers love to create a sense of urgency, making you feel like you need to act immediately. Messages often include phrases like act now or you only have 24 hours to respond. This urgency is meant to prevent people from thinking too deeply or verifying the legitimacy of the request. Remind yourself and your loved ones that it's okay to pause and take a breath. If they're being rushed into doing something online, especially if it involves money or personal information, that's a major red flag. Encourage them to double check or consult with you before taking any action, even if the message sounds important. Another red flag is requests for personal information. A good rule of thumb is that legitimate companies will rarely ask for sensitive information such as social security numbers, credit card details, or passwords through email, text messages, or unsolicited phone calls. Scammers may pose as banks, government agencies, or even tech support to convince people to hand over personal details. Always be extremely cautious with any request for personal information. Remember that if someone is asking for these details, it's best to stop and verify by contacting the company directly using an official phone number or website rather than responding directly to the message or phone call. Now, let's take a quick break.
Introducing the new Mom Talk podcast, your ultimate guide to navigating the journey of motherhood with confidence and clarity. Hosted by me, Mariela Di Santiago, this podcast provides evidence-based answers to all those burning questions for expecting, new, and first-time moms. From pregnancy to postpartum, breastfeeding to sleep training, we've got you covered with insightful discussions and practical advice. Tune in to the new Mom Talk podcast and embark on your motherhood journey with knowledge and empowerment.
Now back to the show. The next red flag to be aware of is when someone asks for payment through unusual methods like gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrencies. These payment methods are difficult to trace and nearly impossible to recover once sent. Scammers use this tactic because it provides them with instant access to funds without a paper trail. Make sure your parents know that legitimate businesses don't ask for payments in gift cards, wire transfers, or crypto. If anyone makes such a request, it's a huge red flag. Encourage them to question and verify any strange payment requests, no matter who claims to be on the other end of the call or message. One of the most common ways to spot a scam email or website is by examining the email address and links. Often, scammers will use email addresses that look official but have small misspellings, extra letters, or strange domain names. The same goes for URLs and links. Many phishing scams lead to fake websites that look similar to the real thing but have slightly altered URLs. Teach your parents or loved ones to hover over links without clicking on them to see where they actually lead. If anything looks off, such as a long or strange URL, tell them not to click. They can always ask you for help if they're unsure. Additionally, remind them that it's better to navigate to a company's website directly rather than by clicking on any links in suspicious emails. So, we've covered the types of scams and some of the red flags to look out for. So, how do we go about sharing this with our parents or other seniors in our lives? It's essential to approach the topic with empathy and understanding rather than fear or judgment. Scams can happen to anyone, any age, and seniors might feel embarrassed or defensive about needing help with technology. By starting the conversation with compassion, you can make them feel comfortable and open to learning. Try saying something like, I know you're careful, but these scammers are getting really sneaky, and I just want to help keep you safe. This approach shows that you understand their point of view and are there to support them, not lecture them. When talking about scams, try to avoid overwhelming them with complicated technical jargon. Instead, focus on providing clear, relatable examples of scams they might encounter. By showing them practical, real life scenarios, you can help them understand the risks without making them feel like they're being talked down to. Share stories that illustrate how anyone can be a target, such as an example of a phishing email from a bank or a fake charity plea. Emphasize that these scams are very convincing and that it's not a matter of being tech savvy, it's just about staying cautious and informed. One of the best ways to help protect your parents from scams is to create a pause and call routine. Encourage them to pause whenever they receive an unsolicited email, text, or call asking for personal information or payment. Reassure them that they can always reach out to you if they're unsure. You might say, if anything feels suspicious or you're not sure, just give me a quick call. I'd be happy to help check it out. This approach not only gives them a safety net, but also reinforces that they don't have to handle these situations alone. Equip your parents with resources that can help them stay informed and alert. Mention tools like AARP's Fraud Watch Network, which offers scam alerts and information tailored to seniors, or the Federal Trade Commission's Scam Alerts page, which regularly updates the public on the latest tactics scammers are using. Encourage your parents to check these resources or sign up for email alerts so they can stay ahead of the latest scams. By empowering them with reliable information, you're helping them take proactive steps toward their own online safety. Another safety measure we can take is to think through our own personal cybersecurity processes. One of the easiest ways to protect online accounts is by using strong, unique passwords for each account. Explain to your parents that weak passwords like 123456 or password are incredibly easy for scammers to guess. Instead, they should use a mix of letters, numbers, and special characters to make passwords harder to crack. A great tool to recommend is a password manager. These tools can store all of their passwords securely, so they only have to remember one master password. It's a helpful way for them to stay safe without feeling overwhelmed by keeping track of dozens of passwords. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA, is a simple yet powerful way to add an extra layer of protection. With 2FA, logging in requires not only a password, but also a code sent to their phone or email. Explain that this extra step makes it much harder for scammers to break into their accounts even if they have the password. Reassure your parents that 2FA is easy to set up and will give them peace of mind knowing their accounts are more secure. Most major websites and services offer two factor authentication, and you can even help them set it up on their most important accounts. During the holiday season, seniors in particular may feel more inclined to donate to charities. So encourage them to verify any charity's legitimacy before donating. Scammers often pose as charities, especially during the holidays, to exploit people's generosity. Recommend that they use sites like Charity Navigator or GuideStar to research any organization they're considering donating to. These sites provide detailed information on legitimate charities, ensuring their hard earned money goes to a trustworthy cause. We've covered a lot of ground on how to keep ourselves and older loved ones safe from cyber scams. And these scams are always changing, and scammers are constantly coming up with new tactics to trick people. That's why it's essential to stay vigilant and proactive. Protecting our loved ones from these scams really starts with open communication and a willingness to help them navigate today's digital world. By taking the time to educate ourselves and our family members, we can make a huge difference in keeping everyone safe. So here's your challenge for today. Have that important conversation with your parents or elderly family members about online safety before the holiday shopping season kicks into full gear. It might feel a little awkward at first, but remember, it's all about protecting the people you care about. If you or someone you know falls victim to a cyber scam, it's important to report the scam to as many agencies as possible. Anne Marie Murphy is a California based attorney who was recently interviewed in one of these elder cyber scam stories on CBS Nightly News with Nora O'Donnell. Murphy suggests victims make reports with the local police, the FBI, the Secret Service, your local district attorney, your state attorney general's office, the Department of Justice, the SEC if it's relevant, and FINRA if a brokerage account was involved. You should also file reports with whomever the criminals were posing as. So, in the case of the victims I mentioned in the beginning of this episode, they've also filed reports with the FTC and the Social Security Administration. Before we go, just a few final thoughts to avoid scams. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And if an institution contacts you and is intimidating or coercing you to send money or review your finances, they're likely not who they say they are. It's okay to hang up. If it truly is the government, they know how to find you. Trust me. And it won't be through your phone, email, or via text message. Well, that's a wrap for today's show. Make sure you check out today's show notes at secretmomhacks.com/episode 94. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Secret Mom Hacks. I appreciate you spending time with me today and hope you found today's topic helpful. If that's the case, please follow me on your favorite podcast platform if you haven't already. Give me a 5-star rating and leave a review sharing your favorite takeaway so far. You can do all of that by going to ratethispodcast.com/secretmomhacks. Don't forget to stop by secretmomhacks.com where you can find resources and enter your email address so every new show is delivered straight to your inbox. Stay tuned for next week's episode, and until then, you've got this, mama.